I guess, yeah, we should.
You don't want to smack down with that guy.
No, we'll kind of do the back and forth a little bit. All right, so today we're going to be looking at the RPZ. We're utilizing the Kruger Instruments, the different version, where you have the USC 10th edition. That's the book. That's got everything you need. For Massachusetts, they do want the number 2 check valve differential. So there's 2 extra steps. You have a no flow and a check valve 2 differential. This also doubles as a double check valve multi-hose testing procedure. The way we've worded that on the sheets is basically it's the USC 10th edition RP test, but you're doing it on a double check. So it's like, it actually does the same exact thing. Generally, I haven't had any trouble in jurisdictions to accept it. And in Massachusetts, everybody wants to do multi-hose double check tests, so it kind of works out. We're going to be using this sheet. Everybody wants to follow along. It's RP, USC, and then with the extra steps. The first step, it's in the top left. Notify, identify, inspect, observe. So for our class, basically you come up, you just say the words. In the field, you do need to notify everybody and identify, and we go over what those things are. Make sure you notify the customer. We had another video where they were saying like, oh no, we don't have to notify them. Yes, you should notify. You don't want to be like, oh, I notified the guy who's going to notify. You know, like you want to make sure, because what happens is everybody loses water, and then all of a sudden somebody's got shampoo in their hair and everything, and, right? And then like the water's off, and you're like, what the hell's going on? So they should schedule the shutdowns. You want to do that properly. Again, for our exam, you just need to say the words. Next, you flush the test cocks. Open 4, open 3, open 2, 1, close 1, close 2, close 3, close 4. The reason you do that is because obviously you can flush the test cocks just one by one, but you want to have them running and then close them so you don't prematurely discharge the relief valve. So we tried it earlier and it wasn't working, but a lot of times if you just open test cock 2, because it drops the inlet pressure shutting the relief valve, it won't open, or it'll open it before you start testing it. The way you want to look at it, you're getting the relief valve when it first started dumping the first thing. Nothing has happened to it for like a month or 2 months or a year or whatever, and then you're getting that first opening, because a lot of times there's like crud that builds up on it and it won't open properly when you first start. We have 3 hoses. The high hose is red for this particular demonstration. The low hose is blue, and then you have a bypass hose, which is yellow. First steps, you take high to 2, low to 3. So you're putting the 2 hoses on either side of check valve 1. So the low hose is the downstream, the high hose is the upstream of check 1. The bypass could technically be on the high or the low because you just loop it later, but it has to get bled, so it can't have a bunch of air in it. Open low, or open test cock 3, open low. You don't want to get it where it's like barely coming out. You want to get it where it's kind of like, that's probably a good amount, but don't spread everybody. Open 2, open high. While these are running, close the outlet shutoff, then you close high, then you close low. It'll drop down to the apparent check 1 value. I'm getting 9.4. The reason you shut this while they're open, I know some of the other providers in Massachusetts, they say, like, you just walk up and shut it, right? Or you know what I'm talking about. So yeah, like some of them, they'll just be like, you just walk up and shut it, and then you do your test. The thing is, if there's flow through it and you shut it like that, it can cause the relief valve to prematurely discharge. So that's kind of like how they came up with that. If you call USC and you're like, I don't know why you're doing it this way, they actually do have like a staff and they'll explain it to you. Like, so it's pretty nice. They never like blow you off, but yeah, there's always a reason for that. Like there's whatever they're doing, if it seems inefficient, a lot of people try to like update the thing and go like, oh no, I found an even better way to do it. I just skipped this step. Don't do that because there's always a reason for it. It might not impact every single test, but it can. So we got our apparent check 1. You don't write anything for that. And now we're on the right side, up at the top, number 16. You loop the bypass hose. Open high. Then you open low a little tiny bit, and you're watching for this to open. So usually you want it kind of like right next to each other. You open up your low a little tiny bit. It takes forever to drop. See how it's like 5 now? 4.6, you get a little tiny drip. That's your relief valve opening point. If you open low more, it just like, yeah, it's open, but it's like too open. It's too far open. So you get that very close, like just barely opened, it starts dripping. Close both bleed offs, or both valves on your gauge, both bleed valves. Remove your bypass hose from the low side so you keep it on the high side. You attach the bypass. I can see everybody's getting a little lost. Yep. Good.
It's only day 1.
You're good to go? You can see like the eye draining. They're like, wait, what?
We're doing great for the first day.
Yeah, you want to remember all the different components and everything. Okay. So then you open test cock 4. You have to reset your gauge. If you notice it's at a lower number, the gauges are only accurate going down. They're not accurate going up. That's called like descending accuracy. So all of our readings we ever take, the gauge is going down when you get the reading. So you have to reset your gauge. It should go back to the 9.4. Yeah, very close. Then you open up your high bleed. It goes down a little bit. Now it's 8.8, right? It doesn't matter. You're just waiting for it, or you're making sure it's not continuously dropping. So at the bottom of the first page, it says like if it continuously drops, then that means that check 2's leaking. Then if you flip it over to the other side, test number 3, the tightness of number 1. So I know you notice we open low, close low, then open high. You leave high open. I've noticed a lot of people when they're doing the test, it's like they open high, get their reading, and then they close it. Never do that. Never like open something and then close it, unless it says to open and close it. But for this test, we do, right? So the first thing you do for the number 1 check, open and close, low bleed. So now we have test cock 2 open, high bleed open, vent or bypass to test cock 4, and it's all on the high side. So if shutoff 2 leaks, it's going to leak through the gauge because there's no springs, right? So now we can confirm that number 1 check is in a no flow condition just because of that. Like even without testing the shutoffs or anything, because when you did the relief valve, it opened and it was not open that much, and then this is looped through. So if shutoff 2's leaking, it's going to leak. It'd be a very small leak because you were able to open the relief valve, but also it's like it doesn't affect the test because it runs through the gauge. And now we go in, it just segues right in. If you look at the other providers in Massachusetts specifically, they just do a lot of weird stuff where they like hook this and then hook this and then they go back and hook this and they go. And it's,
I'm trying to wrap my head around.
So like
like that.
This is just, and you can do it with the 3 if you wanted, or you can get one of our 2 valves. Then you're even better. So yeah, basically it just moves right in. So you get a verified number 1 check. Then you get, you also get a back pressure on check 2, but then you can get, it's like segues perfectly into the outlet shut off no flow test. So what do you do for the no flow? All you have to do is stop feeding this zone. So as long as your high's open and it stayed open, you close test cock 2, and if your gauge doesn't start dropping, that means that shutoff 2 is tight. Because if shutoff 2 was leaking, you'd lose pressure in your gauge. So you don't have to flip everything around as much. You just kind of do it. Now we're gonna do as the optional test at the end. So these are like not in the USC 10th edition, but they are required in a lot of areas, and Massachusetts included. So we just kind of added them in. Move low to 4. High to 3. Then you just kind of do the same thing, close your high. Do the same thing you did for check 1, open low, or open number 4, open low, open number 3, open high. For this, remember we were saying it's descending scale. So you close high, then you close low. If you close high second, a lot of times your gauge will look like that. It's like opening high, low, and it drops. If you do high second, like you do low first, high second, it stays at 0. And then you get like a false leap, right? So you have to close low second. So I'm getting 2.1. So that's the full testing procedures. Thank you for joining us. Make sure you follow, like, and subscribe.